It's not $70 billion, Mr. Black, but Sony made a big move this week when it purchased Bungie for $3.6 billion. Sony swooped in, took that X off of Microsoft's hands.
Bro, I think they got skamazed. If I'm going to be honest, I think 3.6 billion is too much money for Bungie.
Everyone thinks it's too much money for Bungie. So there's a lot of debate around this. So I'll go through a couple of my points here, then we can talk a little bit about our views on this. So largely in my notes, I had this written, largely considered an overvalued pickup. Excuse me. 1.2 billion of that 3.6 has apparently been earmarked for employee retention. What does that mean? Well, it means that Sony clearly didn't buy Bungie for its intellectual property only. They also want the talent that is currently in the company, and they don't want to lose the talent, which can often happen when a buyout like this happens. They're leaving Bungie alone, and they're allowing them to remain multi-platform as they have been. However, it seems like this is a bigger part of a plan, so to speak, and that plan seems to be Sony has a plan to release 10 live service games by 2026. It's a small window in a lot of games, and to have them all be live service is quite a feat. The thing is that Sony doesn't have a lot of live service games in-house, and I don't think that Sony really knew how to make a successful live service game, but you know who does? Bungie. They've been doing it with Destiny now for, I think, is this 7th or 8th of the 10-year run for Destiny? I can't remember, but we're getting up there.
We're getting up there.
And so they've done it. They know how to do it. And so this is, I think, a way for them to bring in Bungie to not only make some money off of their success already as it is, but to also bring on the knowledge that comes with all of that to be able to spin it off into these other 10 live service games that they're announcing they want to do by 2026 to make live service a bigger part of their portfolio, because they're mostly known, as we've talked about many times before, and successful and still ahead of Microsoft despite this buyout of Activision. Because of it, they're single-player, high-quality experiences that Sony cranks out. That's what they're known for. But they don't have a lot of live service, and you kind of need in today's market to maintain size some long-tail revenue-generating thing, because everyone, or not everyone, but a lot of people clearly play and like games as a service or live service games. So this seems to be in that piece of that puzzle, and why they were probably overpaying or willing to overpay for it. That 1.2 billion in retention. So what that is it's like earmarked to be spent over several years to go to employees to stay at Bungie. And since they only have about 1,000, I think, employees, depending on how they do the percentage split up on that, you can guess at just how much money that actually means to stay in the pockets of many of these developers. It's a lot of money. Some people are going to be seeing just, close to a schmil on retention. So they are really, really, really thinking that Bungie is going to be a key part of their games as a service moving forward. The rest of that 2.4 billion is I guess what they actually are buying out for the company itself, which I still think is probably a little bit overvalued. And I'll say my piece, and then I'll ask you about what you think about this. I mean, I think we both agree that it is overvalued. Most people do. The reason why is that even on paper, Bungie, if this was just for Bungie's IP and money-making capabilities, Bungie currently pulls in about 240 to 250 million in revenue a year. That's not profit, that's revenue. I have no idea what their cleared amount is, like what they're making in actual profit. But 250 schmil in revenue does not churn out a 2.4 to 3.6 billion dollar valuation in most markets, and I think that once again points towards Sony really wanting to pick these guys up for their brains, less about the IP and money making, and more about their ability to turn out and help them do 9 or 10 more of games that will make $250 million in revenue in a year. So a little bit overvalued. I kind of see where they're going. It's a little odd because it is a bit counter to what Sony's been doing to be successful up to this point, but as long as it doesn't affect Sony spending the time to continue to make those single-player games that they're known for, I think this will all be fine and help Sony maintain its positioning, because obviously Microsoft is just going galactic on their side of the fence. But what do you think about this?
Yeah, I mean, I still think it's overpriced. But at the end of the day, if that's their plan, then maybe it's not overpriced. You know, if this is what they felt like they needed to do, then it's not overpriced at all. If they end up actually making 10 games by 2026, which I highly doubt they will, but say even if they made 5, and every one of those is making 100 million, 150 million a year or whatever, then, you know, over time it makes sense, right? It's just, I think ultimately if they had done this a month ago, it'd be a little bit more positive news, in terms of, like, you know, it not seeming so weird. Or even when Halo was about to release, or it just released and all the hype was good and stuff. But or not Halo, sorry. Destiny. It might have made a little bit more sense, but it makes sense. I'm just saying, when Microsoft spends $20 billion and then you spend 3.6,
68 billion, actually, not 20.
Oh, sorry.
Activision Blizzard, 68 billion.
70 billion.
70 billion, yeah.
Let's round it up.
Yeah.
Spend $70 billion.
Yeah.
And you spend 3.6, right?
Yeah.
It's I mean, that just says itself. It's almost like you're in a relationship and you break up with your significant other at the time, and you go ahead and you you know, I don't know, you go on a trip with Dan Bilzerian or whatever, and you are smashing 15 of the baddest dime pieces that Instagram has seen in the last ever.
Okay.
And your significant other, you found out, is now dating her third cousin. You know, you look at it and you're saying, who's living their best life here?
What?
You know what I'm saying? This is Microsoft is on a yacht right now in Costa Rica, banging anything and everything, snorting cocaine off ass and titties, just living,
some Wolf of Wall Street type shit,
spending money like it doesn't, like it's the fucking, like it's Congress just printing fucking money.
Yeah.
Like it never, hey, you know what? Everyone's getting fucked by inflation, but we just spending, bitch.
We just keep making more.
You know, and then, you know, your ex is in a small rural fucking country banging her third cousin because she, you know, she saw how much fun you're having on Instagram, and Billy, he gave her some attention, and she's like, "Are we first cousins? Nah, we're third." Oh, okay. That's distant enough. Let's get it in. And you got to ask yourself, who's doing better right now? At face value, it's looking like Microsoft, but you never know. Billy might be a great guy, and you know, he might be a good listener. Who knows? It's just not looking good right now. It's 3.6 billion compared to 70.
Definitely something, you know, to keep in mind.
You got Bungie. I mean,
definitely something to keep in mind is that as much as I think it would be awesome to be able to say that this is like the world's worst clapback at Microsoft buying Activision Blizzard, is that these kind of deals don't happen in a 2-week window.
No.
This shit's been in the works for like probably 6 to 9 months.
But I mean, geez.
And we also know back in, I think it was 2020, Microsoft attempted to buy Bungie multiple times, and Bungie kept asking more money than Microsoft was willing to pay. Obviously, because Sony, that's probably because Microsoft was looking at Bungie for what they brought to the table for their IP, right? And not what they bring to Microsoft for games as a service or whatnot. Like, Sony is seeing this as a much different buy than Microsoft is. Microsoft was probably trying to get them for closer to their actual fucking market value, whereas Sony was coming into this with different things in mind. But yeah, I don't know. I think that I get it. I understand it. I'm very interested to see how, in practice, this works out for Sony between now and 2026. Obviously, Bungie is not the one making all 10 games in this time frame, but they're trying to, I'm assuming, borrow the knowledge from their now owned studio to be able to propagate these other games and other game studios to make them happen and make them successful. And whether or not that ends up being a success remains to be seen. But the reality is that Sony still is in the power position. They are still pretty dramatically ahead of Microsoft in this industry specifically. Will that last forever if Microsoft keeps buying up studios like they have been, even though Sony is likely to also be buying up more studios, and that's a guarantee that will still happen? That remains to be seen, because up until this point, Sony hasn't needed to buy studios to get into their market position. Sony just had a handful of studios, and they focused on cranking out really good, specific, largely single-player games, and it got them to where they are. So they can't do it forever, but this is their attempt to branch out. And they know, the other thing is, Sony can't go toe-to-toe with Microsoft. They don't have that kind of money.
No, Microsoft could buy Sony.
Microsoft
That's
literally
could
just buy Sony.
It never happened. But
no, it would never happen.
They have that type of money. It's fucking Microsoft, okay?
Yeah.
So, it is what it is. I don't foresee Sony losing to Microsoft anytime soon.
No.
But one thing that Sony's got to keep in the back of their head, along with all of the consumers, is Microsoft's Game Pass. You don't need to have a console to have this and play this, right? So people look at console sales, but they're. The thing is. I don't think this is no longer a race to sell consoles. This is a race to create platforms, an on-demand type thing.
Yeah.
And Microsoft is winning that race pretty dramatically right now.
Yeah.
This is like if you're playing Mario Kart and we're on Star Road, and you've got Microsoft who is Mario, and you've got fucking Sony who's Bowser, or maybe not Bowser. Let's go with what's another
Sony
one?
in this analogy should probably be like Yoshi, and then like Microsoft might be like, I don't know, like a DK, and then DK on Star Road takes the shortcut on the N64 and nails it. That's the $70 billion buyout. Meanwhile, Yoshi is just outright faster on average than everyone else, and has been ahead. But then in the last, there's 2 laps left.
Yep.
And DK's been lapped before. That was last gen, but this gen, they spent the money. They took a hard left. They made the jump.
That's
it. They did the cut at Rainbow
it.
Road, and now they're closer than ever.
And before you know it, bro, they're gonna be in the lead without nobody even really seeing where it happened. It's like, what the fuck? We've got 70 million paid subscribers on Game Pass, and
that's steep.
That money that's generating is insane. And they don't need to sell consoles to do that. Yeah, they need to sell a lot of consoles, but you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
The model doesn't need this. And are we going to get another console in 10 years? I don't think so. I think this is the last version of a console we are getting. I think from here on out, I think we'll get like an update to these specific consoles, and that's the show. This shit is going to be going on the cloud, online, on whatever device that you want, playing on your fucking smart TV, and all you're going to get is a controller. That's the show. I don't think we're getting another fucking console. And I think Xbox knows what the fuck is up, and they're positioning themselves to be the leader of the new, console-less console war. It's gonna happen.
That does seem to be where we're headed. Nintendo, meanwhile, doesn't give a fuck.
Oh, yeah, Nintendo
doesn't give a single fuck.